All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Run here with Johnny. I think I'm on the right feed. I'm checking my phones. I think I might have actually started the wrong one. So I'm gonna give me a second here to check this out. Make sure I didn't screw this up. I think we're okay. Let's see home. Let's see if I go to my YouTube is not very friendly. When, let's see my channel. Where's my channel here? I just want to make sure that I'm actually going live here. So what the hell? Why can't I find my own feed? They've changed everything. Craps. Can't tell if I'm live or not. What the hell? Am I live? There's like one person here, I think, because I screwed up the feed. Give me a second here to figure this out because I want to make sure I didn't mess this up. Me. Let's see. Where is my freaking channel? My videos. My live. Oh, I'm on the wrong channel. That's why. Duh. I gotta go to CGTV. Subscriptions. There we go. We're right. Yeah, we're live. Okay. Sorry. Whatever. I'm a mess today. Look at this stupid camera. This little camera that I've got doesn't have very good white balance in it. If I do this, will that make it better? Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, baby. Wow. Look at me looking like a champion now, huh? Let's fix that. That looks better. All right, stop that. My phone's gonna go. All right. Wow. Happy Tuesday. I'm in the middle of a move, right? So I got stuff going on everywhere. I'm not really my normal jovial self. Anyway, good morning, all. Welcome to Coffee Run with John. Quick show today, probably. I got some stuff to do with my regular day job, but let's go over kind of where we are and look at the world around us here. So let's switch over to here. And I know that Ed got me yesterday with the reaction video of the Red Cross. Today he put out one. I haven't watched it yet. Ed versus Gambling with Jimmy. Now I've watched a couple of Gambling with Jimmy videos, and I got to tell you, I can't wait to see what Ed has to say about this guy. The one that I watched, the first one I watched was. He had his craps table like on a pool table or something, like a mat on which is fine. I don't care how you have your setup, right? But he was like missing chips. He wasn't paying himself right, and he had his camera like on his head, or he had like a GoPro going, and it was like he was looking. He making me so dizzy watching that thing. If that's the one Ed's reviewing, that's going to be hysterical to watch Ed review that thing. Now again, to me, whatever. If the content's good, the content's good, but production quality's got to matter a little bit. Like you don't have to be perfect, but you can't have people getting dizzy by the way you're filming it. So, but that video was kind of funny. It was a crazy strategy, and I don't know, man. Gambling with Jimmy it's an entertainment. It's entertaining, but I'm not sure if it's the kind of thing I'd take to a casino with me for sure. Also Ryan put out the Gargoyle. He put out Gargoyle's play. Go watch that. Go watch Mark the Point. Ryan put a video out with Gargoyle's play. What I love about Gargoyle's play is that it's aggressive, obviously, right? It's very much, it's almost exactly the Philly special, right? When you think about the way that he plays that, the way I play the Philly special, they're really, really close in terms of this. Gargoyle plays the 6 and 8 a certain way. He plays the 5 and 9 a certain way. He plays the 4 and 10 a certain way. And he plays them religiously, right? Philly special for me is the same thing. I play my 6 and 8 with the sister press. I play my 5 and 9 with the G money. I play the 4 and 10 with a flip. I play the numbers the way I like to play the pairs. That's it, right? That's what Gargoyle does. He does it a little more foot to the gas. He's more press collect. I'm more press collect, right? So it's a little more foot on the gas, but the notion of it is this. We talk about gambling strategies, gambling plays. What Gargoyle does there is he plays his way every single time, right? He's got his favorite ways of playing, and that's what he does. And he sticks to it. I think it's cool, right? And I think that's when you watch all these shows and bring all my stuff together, that's what I want you to be able to do. Find the way that you want to play, the numbers you want to play, and stick to it, right? That's the Gargoyle. That's the Philly special. That's whatever you want to call your way of playing. It's a beautiful thing when you figure out what you want to do and what works for you and what rhythm matches your bankroll, lets you hit your goals better, and makes you enjoy your time at the table. That's, I think, what it's all about. And watch that video. It's really good. And by the way, I will not out Ryan, but Mark the Point, Ryan from Mark the Point sent me a nice text this morning showing me his cruise ship winnings. I'm sure he'll do a video where he talks about that. He crushed them a little bit. He crushed them, like a lot. I'll let him tell his story though. He did a really good job. So good for him. Congratulations, and get going for it. Tom Marcus said these critiques may be helpful. Now you can critique a couple of things, right? You can critique the video, how he filmed it, what he says in it, and what the strategy. There's like 3 parts to that thing, right? I react initially to, oh my God, I can't watch this thing. It's unwatchable the way he's talking and moving his head. I can't even pay attention. But then he gets into like paying his bets and he's paying the bets wrong, right? Like I think he might know the game, but he's like, again, putting these videos together, putting a YouTube channel together is not easy. There's a lot goes into this. It's not just, buying good cameras and buying good software. It's about having a plan with what you're going to say. There's a lot that goes into making it right. And I think there's some respect given when you flick the camera on and put yourself out there and just go like I did in the early days. But then you've got to really kind of pull back and go, what do I really want to be on this channel? What message am I trying to convey? And I'm not sure he's there yet, but anyway, it'll be fun to watch Ed do that. So, here we go. There we go. Let's get into it. No update for Crafts of the Cure. I did not talk to anybody yesterday. I meant to. I got busy with house stuff and I just didn't. So maybe today I'll reach out and see where we are. But no news is good news right now on that one. More to come. I got to get it locked in though. You know that, right? We don't get this thing locked in by mid-July. It's going to be hard to pull together for October. The lucky thing is the guests that we're going to have, I know they're pretty much locked in. They're going to be there. So I'm not worried about the guests. It's about getting the donation stuff set up and a couple other things that are kind of pre-funk things that will get going, but give me a little bit of time. I'm still working through it. Now paycheck today, good gravy. Whoo. For those of you who had the misfortune of watching the paycheck today, we won $176, right? Which sounds like a win, right? I'll take a win whenever I take a win. We were down to our last nut. We had, I'd I'd gone, $3,200 across. Got one hit, 7 down. Okay, bummer. Go back out there at 1,600 again. Just reset the bets where I was at that drop down level. PSO'd. So I'm down 3K in the first 5 rolls, right? We fought all the way back. And I think what I did this morning, I think was purposeful. Like I didn't purposely lose, obviously, but when I lost to 3,200, we talked yesterday about phased play, right? Phase 1 is get even in your rack and then start pushing the needle, right? For me, the paycheck is only phase 1. Get even in the rack means I got my money and I'm out, right? When I get even in the rack, I know that I'm at the paycheck level. We never got that hit on the first 2 shooters. I didn't get it. And so what I did was I went into recovery mode. And instead of just playing the same way again, I recovered my loss. Then I went back to phase 1. Like I put all my energy into, let's get back to bankroll neutral. Once I got there, I'm like, hey, now we're neutral. Now we go and restart the system, go back and draw it down. People in chat were like, wait a minute, you went 9 rolls and it took me 9 rolls to get back to even again, which is fair to Midland, right? That's what's going to happen. Why are you going all in? The 7's coming. Superstition to me, right? The 7's not coming. If I'm throwing good, the 7's not coming. You get yourself to even. The next play is go back to phase 1 and start going, right? That's the play. I'm not worried about the 7 looming. There's no Geiger counter or whatever you want to call it. There's no ticker out there that's kind of counting off clicks until I get beat. It's my throw, right? So I just, I'm not gonna succumb to that superstition. I'm gonna say, you know what? I got the even. My next play, go back to phase 1, and we'll talk about that in today's show as well. I made that choice purposefully. Now it didn't work. That's when I got the PSO, right? Or I got 7 out right there. Bummer, down $3,500 again. Worked our way back up again, and I kept working, lower size bets, getting back to even before I drew it down. I drew it down at the end, and we got it to work. But last drawdown got us into profit. I then burned some of the profit trying to extend it a little bit. But the approach I always take is that, right? We go for phase 1. If it doesn't work, depending where the bankroll is, right? I either go right back to phase 1 or I work my way back so I can try phase 1 again. Because I was 50% down, I had to work my way back to get to phase 1 so I could try it again. That was the approach today. Today was a complete exercise in phase play, and it worked to perfection, I'll say. I'll put it in air quotes, right? It worked really well. It took me a long time. It took 40 minutes, about 60 rolls, about 5 shooters to get it all to work out. But, going up, losing a little bit, grind. I'm even, go big. If we win it, it's great. We lost it, grind, go at it again. That's the approach I take all the time. There's a reason why I don't take, typically speaking, enormous losses. That was a reason why. So it was a tough paycheck today. It was a tough show, but the rolls were good. I had 3 rolls that were over, I think 12. One was 10, I think a 15 and a 13. And I had the 2 early quick sevens. Is what it is, right? We'll take the win. I'll take the $120 or $175 win and call it a day. Sometimes discretion's the better part of valor. You get out, you don't have to go back. I was going to go back and I'm like, nope, we're going to take that 175. We're going to be bye-bye. And that's what we did. So good day on the good. It was a good show because it kind of hammers in the points that we've been making all along. Let's see. Where are we? We are at $38,000. So we didn't get to 50. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we'll get to 50. We'll see. But please let me get to $50,000 tomorrow. I'd love to get to 50K before the week is out and start August or start, it'll be August before I go back to the table again because I'm moving. Start August with the kind of the stretch run. You know what I'm saying? So there we go. JR says a phase locked loop for the win, right? I'm trying to lock at every phase. I want my phase 1 to lock some too, but today just bad timing, Didn't have a lot of 7s, but they came at the worst possible times. Whatever. You can't fight City Hall sometimes, right? All right, let's get at it. Let's get after we're going to transition now a little bit, right? We talked about all the ways to play. We've talked about, your financial goals, how to manage your money, all these different things. We're bringing it together in this part of 401, right? We're talking about hitting your goals. What strategy do you want to play to account for the wins? How's your bankroll? What does it got to say about your losses? Today, we're gonna move into this idea I've got called situational play. And I think you can find yourself in many situations of your own doing or not, right? Let's talk about how we can merge some of the ways that we know to play in different situations. Get my eye here. So in class 18, talking about situational play, I want to look at the bankroll situation first, okay? And this always boils down to what's the current state of your rack, okay? Is your rack even, or what I call a neutral bankroll? And that can happen for lots of reasons. You can be neutral for many reasons. You could have fought back to neutral. You could be just buying in, right? You're neutral, and the state of your rack dictates, okay, what am I going to do? What phase am I playing? How am I going to attack the table? You could be down a little tiny bit or a lot. And again, the way that you got down, how long you've been down, what you've been doing while you're down, again, says a lot. Your bankroll is the state of your life right now. That's going to dictate maybe how you play. Change your decisions a little bit. You could be up a little bit. You could be at your goal. You could be way up and playing with excess money. So again, you could be in phase 1, 2, or 3 based on the state of your rack. And that's where your mindset has to kind of like put that together for you and decide what's the next move for me, right? So for example, when I'm bankroll neutral, I typically work my plan, okay? One of the questions I've got here is, how did I get even? How did I get even? Am I at my initial buy-in? Am I early in the session? I'm working phase 1, right? I go out on my daily paycheck. I buy in for $7,000. My first move, my initial phase 1 play is the Dallas drawdown. I go 3,200 across. I take a hit. I go to 1,600. I take a hit. I'm off, right? That's 750. That's 350. That's a little over $1,000. And I can go out there again with a 250 phase 3 play and let it happen, right? That I skip phase 2, in other words, right? But that's when I first buy in early in the session. I could be even because I fought back or recovered, which is what happened today. If you watched that show this morning, we lost early twice, and I was down about $3,000, $4,000. You can't go out there well, you can. I decided not to go out there at phase 1 and start my regular plan. I was down, right? I fought back to get to neutral. It took me a long time, 30 something rolls. We got back to bankroll neutral, right? How did I get there? I fought back. I got my rack even. I had $700 on the felt. That's what's in action. Can I advance a stage at that point? Right? Am I in the middle of a good run? Those are decisions that I'm looking at. At that moment, once I got to neutral, I said, okay, how did I get to neutral? I'm 9, 10 rolls into this thing, just barely recovered. Do I go back and reset at phase 1 and work my plan? Or do I stay low and try and, rack a few black chips along the way, right? Your bankroll has something to say about it, not just the physical state of it, but how you got there and why you're there. Sometimes fighting back from being down like we did today and getting to just even and a little bit up might be enough to say, you know what? We fought the good fight, and that might be a decision time for me. Okay. That's again, looking at your bankroll being neutral is a decision point for you. If you're down, right, your bankroll's down, it's less than what you started with. You got to assess the damage. Okay. How down are you? For one, right? Are you down one bullet? If you brought 10 bullets, are you down half your bankroll? Have you hit a loss limit? If you've preset a loss limit and you're down to your loss limit, you got to be done, right? How many bullets do I have left? If I brought, in my case, I bring basically 2 bullets. If I burn one, I got 1 bullet left. My question is, do I use the second bullet, right? Or do I change guns and use a different strategy, right? That's the thing. Am I short stacking it, right? Am I in a situation where I'm so down, I'm almost at my loss limit. Let's just say my loss limit was 50%. Let's say I bought in for $1,000. Loss limit's 500 and I lost 400. So I've got $100 before I'm at loss limit. To me, that's a short stack. I'm not going to take the 600, right? You'll take the 100 and play with the 100. That's what I would call a short stack situation. If you're going to put yourself on a hard limit of a loss limit like that, you're short stacked. That $100 is all you got to play with. Okay. If you're all the way to the end, you're going to be 100% stop loss, which is the way that I typically look at things, right? I'm all the way at the end. I might be short. I might only have $100 left, right? You're short stacked. Okay. In those cases, right, your decision making is based on what you have allowed yourself to play with. Again, your bankroll decides how much are you allowed to play with. If you're going to limit the loss or you're going to be at the end, what's the limit? What do you have left? Now you got to make a decision. What's the plan of attack now? Do I go low volatility? If I'm in a crap stable, do I go out there and do a little come betting, keep the house edge low, let the table kind of come back to me, so to speak, right? Do I decide to do a small scale ladder, go low bets, but ladder up, right? Is my focus at this point only on getting back to bankroll neutral so I can restart? Or is my focus going to say, you know what? That doesn't matter, right? I lost a bullet. So what? The next bullet, its job is to win me all the goal, right? Do I just stay on task? That's an interesting decision for you. And again, your bankroll and your tolerance for risk is going to determine how you play that, right? When you're down, based on how much damage you've done to yourself, right? What is your next plan? Going back to get to neutral so you can restart, or just keep going with what you were doing and maybe this time it'll work and get you back to neutral plus your goal, right? That's the hardest decision you're going to make. Do I just go back out there and keep trying what I was doing before? Again, it didn't work once or twice or 3 times. Do I stick with the plan, or do I go, you know what? Let's replan this thing. Let's reattack and let's go after this thing and just get to neutral. And then I can take a breath and say, what am I going to do? Sometimes that breath, the decision point is the key. Okay. But again, I think your bankroll decides that, what phase you're in and how you're going to get after it. Now, what if you're up, right? What if you're winning? This is the best place to be, right? If you're at your series goal, right? A goal for a shooter at a craps table, or a goal for a short stack at a roulette table or whatever. If you're at your session goal, have you met your goal for the day? Either of those, by the way, could be a stop trigger for you. You get your series goal, you win your money that you had decided for on that shooter, you can stop. Louis does this. Louis says, hey, I'm looking to win $100 on a shooter. He wins $100 on the shooter, he stops playing, right? That guy can go for 40 more rolls. He'll just sit there and watch it, right? Fine. If that's disciplined play, right? He's not going to win $1 bazillion. He's also not going to go down $1 bazillion. You're going to phase it in, right? You could say, when I'm at my goal for this shooter or the session, I've got what I would call excess play. That might be a trigger to go, right? What's triggering you when you're up? How much of your up amount are you willing to put out there as leverage? That's the real question. How much are you willing to put out there? An example, your goal is $100, right? You won $150. Okay. This is a great decision point, right? You can do all the things. You can go home with $150. You can go to the cage with an extra 50 bonus time, right? If you lose $100 tomorrow, you're net down $50. That's a good decision, right? You could play with the whole 150 and say, you know what? I'm going to leverage the whole thing. We won, right? I got this 150 in profit. I'm going to put the whole 150 out there at risk and use all the leverage I've got to make damage, right? You could say, I'm going to save 50 and play with 100. So I'm going to keep, a pittance, but something to go home with and play with 100. Or you say, I'm going to keep my goal. My goal is 100. I'm going to keep my goal. I'm going to play with that short stack of 50, right? You have lots of decisions when you're up. Okay. And again, when you're up, this is the end of phase 2, I would call it. You've got your goal locked up. Now you're hitting phase 3. And phase 3 is that decision point. Do you go home? Do you play? How much of your up amount, how much of your leverage are you going to put out there? That's the question. And again, your bankroll has something to say about it, where you are in the moment. Look down at your rack and do the math and go, yep, I'm ready to rock, or I'm ready to get out. Okay. But again, your bankroll decides that. Sometimes, today's a good example, my bankroll decided that I was done because I'd fought so hard to get there twice. Out. Right? I use it as a stop trigger today. I was up and it was a stop trigger for me. It was not a go button. Okay. Some days I go out there and it's a go button. Today was not a go button. Today was a stop trigger because of how we fought to get back there. I think that all of these decisions that you make is what I'm talking about. What is the stop trigger for you? Right? Did you hit your win goal? Are you at your loss limit? Are you at a time limit? Some people limit themselves by time and that's it. I got a half hour, I'm done, right? Do you have the ability, the mental acuity or acumen to move between play styles based on your goal? That takes discipline to do that, right? I want to go Dallas Drawdown. I want to go out there with the big bets and I want to draw it down and get the hell out. But I got whacked twice. Can't do it. The bankroll says I can't do it, right? Discipline says walk or switch it up, work your way back, and then make the move. Do you have the discipline to walk? Do you have the discipline to go hard? Also tough to do, right? And I know that people that are good friends of ours struggle with this, right? When it's time to go, do you have the discipline that it takes to say, I'm going to go? I'm going to let bets die out there on the felt, but I'm going to go. Put the pedal down. That takes discipline too, to leave your bets out there and let them work for you, leverage style, right? As much as it takes to pull the bets down and walk. Both of those are difficult mental things to do. I'm telling you, it takes a lot of wherewithal to pull bets. It takes a lot of guts to leave them out there. But again, what's your trigger? What is your trigger? And again, your bankroll says what that is. If I've got my goal, let's say I've got 3 times my goal. Let's say we had a great run. My goal was $100 and I got $300 in the rack extra, and I still got $160 that I have to play with. Guess what? That's go time, right? Again, are you able to execute on that decision? That's the big question. And I think that again, bankroll puts you in different situations. It puts you in a situation where you're up and have a decision to make with your profit. Bankroll can put you in a situation where you're down and have to either fight back or follow your original plan. You've got to make that call. And again, I think the percentage that you're down, right? What you're able to do and how much of what you have left are you willing to put at risk to make it up? All decisions you can make. And again, you've got all the ways to play. We've talked about it. You can go regressing again. You can start small. And today I chose to start small and build myself up. Actually, I did the same bet for a few times. Then I built up, right? I chose this really cautious way to build back up. Bankroll made the decision for me, not me. The bankroll decided what we were going to do. Again, my goal, if I wind back a couple screens here, my goal in that moment was to get back to neutral. My goal was the second bullet point, focusing on getting back to neutral. That's what I wanted to do. I did not want to worry about making a paycheck at that point. I wanted to be on neutral. Then I got back on task after that. So again, I think situational play is another one of these difference makers, right? Some people will say it doesn't matter. The dice will do what they want. There's no memory. You can't shoot. What's going to happen is going to happen, and it doesn't matter. There are people who will say that, and there's probably mathematical truth in that. However, in the moment, you're looking at your rack and you're going, I ain't doing that again, right? I don't want to put what I have left at risk on something that ain't working, right? I'm going to build back carefully. Or you might say, screw it. Just let that shit happen, right? All right, so there it is. There's my talk for today. I think as we get into situation, again, I'm not going to give you any answers here. I'm going to tell you how I do it, right? And it's every day it's different. There's days where I put the bankroll to work for me. There's days where I don't. It just depends on, sometimes it's vibes, sometimes it's how I'm shooting, sometimes it's just, it is what it is. You have to make your own calls there. And again, I want to give you something to think about. My goal today was not to give you the answer, it's to give you something to think about, right? When I'm down, am I getting back to even, or am I going to just keep on going for it? You have to make that call. When I'm up, Am I going to stay up by a little, by my goal, by a lot, or by nothing? When you're up, that's another decision point for you. And again, your bankroll makes the decision, helps you make the call. You got to make that call, and everybody is different. Okay. Yeah. Waylon says, I might have just got lucky, but I bet what was winning, past DP or late. So I think you're talking about something else, but yeah, you got it. You've got to, you got to make the call on your own, right? I think we're talking, there's a lot of things in here. People talking about their ways. Papa Chops, I like to count Benjamins. I love counting Benjamins, right? For sure. Let's see what else we have. Holy Roller counts tens and sevens to reevaluate the system. That's cool. And again, how I feel about this stuff. I will be completely honest with you. I know people get mad at me. I don't believe in trends at all. I believe that a good shooter can create a pocket. You want to call that a trend, fine. And you can bet the pocket that a good shooter is creating. I think somebody who's not a good shooter, like myself, today it was not a good shooter. Today my dice were flying differently every time. For whatever reason, again, going from different, my dice flew different every single time. They were sometimes crooked, sometimes straight, sometimes forward, right? Completely, I might as well have been throwing them overhanded, right? In that situation, you cannot bet what's coming because there's no way to know what the hell's coming, right? If somebody's actually doing something good, you can kind of get into that pocket. I would bet what's coming. That's me, right? So I don't like to do this kind of stuff. I don't count numbers and worry about it because 99 times out of 100, what's coming out next is completely random. And so I don't worry about that so much. I don't worry about things that I can't depend on, I suppose. That's kind of what I'm saying. So Waylon says, go with the flow, don't fight the table, be satisfied. More advice that works, right? And I agree with you, right? When I had the short runs today, I decided to go out with less money. Like that was my thing. I'm not going to go out there with the $3,000. I'm going to go out there with the $1,000 and I'll burn the $1,000, right? I'll take 2 hits off of that thing and burn a few $100. I'm not going to go out and burn the whole thing because I wasn't throwing good. I don't trust myself. So, that's kind of what you're saying, Waylon. I think that's the smart thing you can do. So, let's see here. What else is being talked about? Let's see. Skill says, what's the highest percent of our bankroll that it's okay to put at risk? That's up to you. I mean, and I don't mean to blow the question off, but what I would say to that is this. For me, typically I'm stop loss 0. And what I mean by that is if I don't want to lose more than $500, right? Let's just take that as an example. I buy in for 1,000, I'm willing to lose 500, right? If I get to that point, right? Let's say I've lost 250. I'm looking at my bankroll and saying I got 750 in the rack, right? I'm not willing to use the other 500 at all. I shouldn't have brought it, number one, right? So in my mind, I've got 250 in the rack. I look at that and go, if I've lost 250 out of my 1,000, I've only got 250 to play with. That's how I'm looking at that. Okay. Now, if I lost the 250, $50 at a time. So I've taken 5 losses. Let's say 44 inside. I've lost 5 times. And now I'm down to 250. I'm like, well, what I'm doing ain't working. Either I take the 250 that I've got left and try that 5 more times and maybe one of them will work, or I do something a little bit different. Take the 250, switch ways of playing that are either less volatile or gonna do better in a shorter run kind of a thing, right? I may go to $25 come bets. I may take the 250 and say we're gonna go 3 times, $75, put 225 at risk. I'll do 3 come bets, or I'll do 1 come bet with odds, whatever, right? That may be what I do. I look at that 250 as a shortened stack, and I'm only going to risk that, but I'm going to risk it differently. I'm not going to put the same bullets out there. Some people will, right? $500 is 10 $44 bullets, whatever, right? You can just burn the whole thing. You're always going back to phase 1 in that case. For me, that 250 could also be used 250 across and take 3 hits and earn $100. Now I'm at 350. Okay, cool. Back out at 250, take the 3 hits. Now I'm at 450 and I'm recovered. Then I can restart and reevaluate. You got to think about how much of what you've got left are you willing to risk. Now, for me, if I'm only going to risk $500, I'm only buying in for $500. That way my rack tells me all I need to know. I don't got to do this weird math of like, well, I'm going to take that home and, make myself feel good by having money in the rack. No, I like to see my rack go to 0. So I'll buy in for exactly what I'm willing to lose. My stop loss is what I buy in for. That way I can look at it. And I think the short stack decisions at that point become easier to see visually. So to me, it's a visual tool, and that's how I look at that. So sorry, my voice is going. I don't see any more questions coming in. Let's see. Yeah, you do see a lot, right? You see, and I think the thing, Waylon, is this. I think a lot of people, and I think mathematicians or math style players, and I do this too, right? I fall into the same trap where I say, look, this system that I'm playing, it's gonna work, right? I'm gonna go 160 across, let's say, on a craps table, and I know I got an 85% chance of winning a bet, or 80% chance of winning a bet. I know it, right? I'll take that risk. And I say, 3 times in a row, we got 0.7 out. I lost the 160 and it sucks. You would say, what are you doing? Go to the don't, right? Go do something until something changes. Do something different, right? People who rely on math will tell you it doesn't matter, that there's no hot table or no cold table. There's no energy. The dice are going to, freaking do what the dice are freaking going to do. That's it. Go out there again and trust what you were doing, that when the good thing happens, you're ready for it, right? And if it doesn't work today and you burn your bankroll because you lost 10 times in a row, that's what happened today. And tomorrow you go out there and the first shooter, you win $5,000 and it evens out. That's how the math players look at this thing. They just let it go. Whatever happens today and tomorrow, combine the two, and that's your 2 days play. We're looking at it like I'm here right now in this hour and like what's happening, right? There's a long view and a short view of the game. And I think, some people think they can outsmart the short view. Some people think, screw it, I'm playing the long game anyway, so whatever happens, happens, right? I look at it like, in the moment, I'm not going to try and chase what's happening. In the moment, I'm going to make better decisions with my money and not get destroyed when it's going south. That's been always my thing, right? So you got to do what your bankroll tells you to do, and that's today, right? Today, your bankroll puts you in a situation where you got to make a decision. If it's too far down, if it's up, if it's in the middle, if you're trending downwards and you're losing, make the call, right? Let your bankroll make the call. Go to a short stack system versus the full spread. Maybe that's the answer, right? Again, it's all up to you. So, all right, I'm out of here, guys. It's time. I got to go to work a little early today, but yeah, thanks for pardon me, my froggy in the throat. Thanks for hanging out and listening. I hope this is valuable. I really do. And you can tell me in the chats, right? Is this valuable the way that we're talking here? Again, I'm not giving you any specifics. I'm not rolling dice. I'm not spinning the wheel. I'm trying to talk in generalities here. And again, the things that go through my head when I'm playing, the things that I think about, what's important to me when I'm playing is, again, where my rack is. I will miss a good roll, and I've done it, right? I rolled 56 times with people here in Seattle at last year's meetup, right? I started that roll down about $1,000, $859. I was down about, I think, $850 when I started that roll. It's down $850, right? 64 across, right? And no ATS, just the pass line and my across. That's all I had. I had my last $100 in the rack. I think I was out there. I had $100 in the rack and my spread, and that's all I had when I started the roll. I worked my short white ass off to get that money back. I spent 20 something rolls of that 56 roller getting my rack to even, pressing, regressing. I regressed like 3 times to get it to even. Finally got it to even. Hit the tall in the process of that. When I hit the tall, I went back out and I got the tall then, right? Got to even. 30 something rolls later, I had made $1,000 or whatever I'd made, plus hit the ATS, right? That's what I did. I left a lot of money on the table, potential money. Had I just said, you know what, we're going to take the $64, we're just going to bam, hammer this freaking thing, right? From the get-go, I probably would have made $5,000 on that roll, maybe more. But my focus was, the bankroll decision was, I got to get to even. I've been getting my tail kicked all day. I want to get my money back. So I played short stack style, press, pull down, press, pull down, got to even. And I went, okay, take a breath. What are we going to do? I locked up $500 and then I went pedal down, Probably roll 38 when that happened, right? Another 15 rolls later is when I lost it all, right? That's my decision in that moment. Other people at that table made a fortune because they never throttled back, right? Again, bankroll decisions. I'm okay with that decision because my primary goal was not to hit a home run. My goal in that moment was to get even before I went for the home run. That's what this whole discussion today is about. What would you have done in that situation, right? It goes around the table and you're getting your tail hammered. You're down to $100, $150 or whatever, $175 what I had. What are you doing there? Are you doing this? You can't ladder. You can't play combats, not enough money to play combats. What are you going to do? Right? What's your focus? That's today's lecture is all about. Really, if I look in hindsight, it's that day at the table. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with like, yeah, I missed out on that roll, right? I miss out on big rolls all the time because of that, right? If that roll happened and I was at bankroll neutral when it started, whole different conversation we're having. And again, the bankroll makes that decision for me. The bankroll says you are at neutral. You got your first 5 rolls. You made your session goal. You made your $150. Boom. Let her rip, man. Bankroll decisions, not brain decisions, not heart decisions, not balls decisions. It's bankroll decisions. And that's my final thought. That's, I think, what the value of today's session is. So there you go. I am out, folks. I got to go to work. Like now I'm late. But anyway, love y'all. God bless. Thanks for being with me. Again, glad it's valuable. I know somebody said it was valuable. I appreciate that. See you tomorrow morning for another, hopefully a better run at the Daily Paycheck. And we have another situational discussion tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about that short stack decision. When you're in a short stack, what do we do? I'll leave you with this. JR says, work the tower during comeouts. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I love the tower strategies. I've never gotten one to work really, but they're fun. When people do it at the table, it's fun to watch. It's like the whole table stops. One guy's got a stack. That's fun stuff. Out of here, y'all. Have a good Tuesday. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.